So after the disastrous Acolyte Episode 3, can the show get any worse? The answer is, it can. But again, is this the show that has murdered Star Wars like so many people have said? My contention is, no, it hasn't. However, what we can see here, especially in this episode, is just all of the problems that come with a script that was not properly edited and revised. Did no one look this over and double check at least the dialogue, not to mention the world building? There's so many problems. And on top of that, not just with the cascade of contradictions, but this is not a complete episode. I know some people are going to say, no, Lars, it absolutely is. It tells a beginning, middle, and end. Au contraire! I will show you in this video how the Acolyte Episode 4 utterly fails to be a proper installment of even a bad story. So buckle on in, there's a whole lot of things for us novice authors to observe and learn from this utter travesty of a waste of perfectly good Star Wars. Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest and say, I don't care about any of the things that happened in this episode in terms of what the plot says happened, what the characters say happened, what the characters did, because it actually doesn't matter whatsoever. This is, according to some people, a filler episode. It's not a filler episode. This is a poorly executed travel episode. And travel episodes, travel chapters, can actually sometimes be some of the best moments for character interactions, character development, world building explanations, and little tangents into some of the fun stuff that you as an author would really, really love to put into your story, but because the plot demands that so much is happening in your other weightier chapters, you normally don't have the chance to put that stuff on in here. However, normally in a proper travel chapter or proper travel episode, you as the creator can put in all of those little world building details, those fun little moments between your characters that you just absolutely love behind the scenes, but you don't have anywhere else to put them. You can easily put it into one or two travel chapters. And again, that's why travel chapters are sometimes some of the most fun. However, this episode utterly fails to be that. So let's quickly talk about what you need to have a good, proper chapter. This is something that, unfortunately, I learned maybe a little bit too late in my own writing career. This should have been actually some of the very first lessons that I took. However, being a novice author, decided to just blaze his trail, not paying attention to people for the first year or so of writing. There's a lot of stuff that I missed, and it definitely reflects in some of my earlier writing. I'll be honest about that. Now, a good chapter tells a concentrated story within the overall narrative. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It helps not just simply progress the plot, but it progresses the characters. By the end of the chapter, we need to feel like we've earned something, like we've learned something very important that's going to help take us on over to the next chapter. And you can do whatever you want really within those chapters, so long as they make coherent sense for the characters and for the plot. They can be really short, they can be really long, they can do all kinds of crazy things. They can open up with a wow moment that you just weren't expecting, or they can end with a cliffhanger. But again, so long as it makes sense. For the Acolyte Episode 4, we really don't get any of that other than the cliffhanger ending, which unfortunately gets absolutely botched by everything else that happens in this episode. So we get basically a jump cut. We're now back to Coruscant at the Jedi Temple, watching the Padawans learn some really horrible swordplay. But why are we getting this? There's no reason for this whatsoever. Osha now just apparently has decided, well, now that my sister's alive, it's time for me to just go and do whatever because I don't care. But I love my sister so much. Oh, it's so great to see Master Soul, but I can't tell Master Soul that I'm leaving. I barely know you, Padawan. In fact, actually, all of our interactions have been antagonistic, but now let me make lovey-dovey eyes at you. Oh, even though you're half my age. Ah, ha, ha. Now then, me saying that, for those of you who have been with Camille's harem for a little while, are probably going to be like, wow, Lars, hypocrite much, you and that whole Ichiruki nonsense. Let me just say this. Yes, that is really weird for a 15-year-old guy to like an immortal angel of death, but he was supposed to become an angel of death himself by the end of the story, so I felt a little bit confident in shipping that. Plus, they had just had such great chemistry. But never mind, the Ichiruki ship has sunk, and Ichihime has sailed, and this ship right here came out of nowhere, makes no sense, because of all the contradictions that have come before, and just yeesh. Anyway, we are moving on. So, this opening really doesn't make any sense. We have no explanation as to why they came back to the Jedi Tower, what they actually even intend to do at the Jedi Tower. What Osha's planning to do makes no sense. The relationships of some of the characters now apparently have make no sense. And then we go into an argument that could actually be very revelatory for some of the characters. However, we only get the opening of said argument. We don't get to actually see Soul and Jedi Master lime flavor actually say anything of real substance. As a result, why are we here? Turns out the only reason why we are here back at the Jedi Temple is to pick up proverbial red shirts who will be wasted in episode 5. That is stupid. If you wanted to bring more Jedi along for this manhunt, wouldn't it be good to like make a call as you're going into the planet that the Jedi Wookiee has banished himself to and be like, hey, we need a whole lot of help because there's apparently a coven of witches, or there's a monster, or there's a really great assassin. We don't know what coming on out there, but it's been killing Jedi. We really need help. We need as much manpower as possible, and then Jedi from all over the sector descend upon this planet in order to help out Master Soul. That would actually make a whole lot of sense, and it's something that the Jedi would absolutely do. This deviation does nothing for the story. In fact, it's way more confusing the more you think about it. And then throughout the rest of this episode, which is a travel chapter, what do we then have going on? Well, we have Mai talking with her friend slash confidant slash assistant, who knows what this guy really is, the murderous apothecary. This guy should talk to Mao Mao. Mao Mao would set him straight. But their conversations really don't make any sense. They're rehashing stuff that we've already learned back in episode 2. There's no real reason for them to revisit this stuff unless we're actually going to see Mai start on a redemption arc. And guess what? By the end of this episode, she's gone on a complete redemption arc that we don't see on the screen. We don't get any of her good inner dialogue. We don't see her actually grappling with any of the things that she's done. And the conclusion that she comes to, that she can just simply turn herself into the Jedi and everything will be nice and hunky-dory, is asinine. It is stupid in the extreme. And if you're going to give a character a redemption arc, you need to put in at least the minimal effort that it took for them to become a villain. And this girl has been a murderous psychopath since she was a kid 16 years ago. Why aren't we then seeing this real arc of trying to fight back against it? Oh, is it because, well, Darth Vader turned around and helped out Luke at the end of the Return of the Jedi, thereby making him a good person? No! In fact, actually, I'm going to challenge what a lot of people have said, that Vader becomes completely redeemed by the end of the story, based on that one fact alone. I think that George Lucas really needs to put in a little bit more effort to have Vader really redeem himself. Yes, Vader becomes conflicted in the 6th episode of Star Wars, and we get to see him grappling with his past and the man that he could be against the man that he has become, the man who he currently is, because he gave way to the dark side. And thanks to the prequel trilogy, we know that Anakin is a good man at heart, but that he gave into temptation, fell to the dark side, and became an absolute monster. Thanks to him rescuing his son, even though he was pretty brutal and torturous to his son there in that final battle, he rescues Luke because it's the right thing to do, because he loves his son. And not only that, he brings balance to the Force by killing the Emperor. Yay! But there's really more that probably should have been done to redeem the individual that is Anakin Skywalker. So, honestly, Vader's turnaround is an absolutely great moment in the Star Wars canon. It is iconic. But if we're going to talk honestly about redeeming a villainous character, you need to put in more work in order to make it believable. We love it because it shows that Luke was able to reach out to his father and turn the tides of battle when everything seemed like it was going to slip to the dark side. But if we are going to step back and be honest with ourselves, Vader's got a little bit more to atone for.
Well, at least we're all friends.
You killed all of us as children.
Awkward this is.
Anyway, coming back to it, wow, what the heck is going on here with Mai just suddenly changing her mind out of the blue? No good explanation for it, a complete contradiction to everything else we've seen of her character for 3 episodes with no real build-up other than, oh, my sister's alive. Yay, the sister that I tried to murder! So, no, I do not believe any of this. Meanwhile, on our trip on the part of the Jedi to go rescue their Wookiee friend, again, all of these contradictions. Why on earth is Osha having an antagonistic conversation with the Jedi that she is entrusting the murder of her sister Mai to? And what is up now with Soul? It seems like the poor actor who is trying to depict this broken Jedi realized at this point in the production that I'm a part of a really, really awful story, and maybe the only way I can rescue it is by acting my little heart out. This guy is amazing. He's going 1,010%, but he cannot rescue this story because everything that's been handed to him is utter contradictory garbage. Why didn't you tell me that these younglings were killed? Well, I did tell you. I just didn't know that they survived. But you should have told me that they survived. I didn't know until just now. I know you didn't know, but you should have used your mind powers. Oh, you're right. I should have used my mind powers. I will use my mind powers. You shouldn't use your mind powers because that goes against the Jedi Code. What the heck? Now, that last part right there is me adding on a little bit to the ridiculousness, but the moment that you try to spend any time understanding what is going on here in the dialogue, it just utterly melts your mind. And then when we're in the forest with the weird, creepy bugs, that scene doesn't need to be in there. That's a darling that needs to be killed. It exists solely to say, Osha is tapping again into her Jedi powers. She should have had her Jedi powers this entire time. Don't try to shoehorn in this dumb little moment where she's more aware than anyone else of all the blatant creatures surrounding them that, oh my gosh, there's animals and bugs here in this forest. Osha has been presented to us as an absolute imbecile of a student and an absolute klutz whom the plot must rescue time and time again. Don't try to tell us now that she's a capable Jedi, because she isn't, and she hasn't earned it either. This is a complete contradiction. This is laziness. This is trying to set up things to happen later on, and it doesn't work because of how it goes against everything else that we've been shown. So, quick recap. We have an opening that makes no sense. It shouldn't be there. We should be doing something else. We have a travel log in the middle, so yay, we're moving to point A to point B. However, everything that the characters are doing and saying makes no sense within canon, within who they are, and even with the plot of the movie and everything that's trying to set up. Not the plot of the movie, the plot of the show, and what it's trying to set up. As a result, people are confused. So many reviews that I have seen for this episode are people like saying, I don't exactly know what's even happening right here. And me, while I was watching, I was also like, yeah, what even is going on? Yes, I know that they're out to find the Wookiee, and that stuff is happening, that Mai is having a change of heart for whatever reason, and Osha is deciding that she's okay with killing her sister, because her sister tried to kill her, and she's a horrible person. So, okay, I understand that that's happening. But honestly, that's like picking up a book, flipping it over to the back and reading the basic purview of what you will be encountering once you read the book, and saying, okay, that's the entire story, and then putting it back on the shelf without understanding any of the substance within the book or enjoying it. However, having seeped myself into this episode, there is no substance, and there is nothing enjoyable until you get to the very end with the cliffhanger where Smilo Ren shows on up and begins to attack the Jedi. This was actually a fun moment because Mai is absolutely caught as the worthless, horrible person that she is, and she deserves to be caught. The Jedi have a moment where they're about to be really cool. Smilo Ren shows on up and then proceeds to toss Osha aside and attack the Jedi. Woohoo! Oh, it's a cliffhanger. All of this build up to this moment. And I actually don't care, because I don't care about Osha, I don't care about Mai, I don't care about the Jedi. If anything, I'm actually rooting for Smilo Ren to smite them all and just end the show in the 5th episode. But I know that's not going to happen. And if I'm rooting for the bad guy to win just so that way this can all end, that means I'm not invested in any of the characters, therefore I'm not invested in the cliffhanger. A cliffhanger only really works if the audience has bought in either to the characters or into the story. That they really want the story to be resolved in a great way, and then, ooh, the villains are doing something that could ruin it all. No, I want to see a happy ending. Or, I absolutely love these characters. Please don't hurt them. Don't take my sweet cinnamon rolls away from me. That is when a cliffhanger works. If you haven't done the proper setup in order to make that happen, then when you get to the cliffhanger, no one really cares. It's like, oh yay, you want to hook me to watch your next episode, to turn the page and read the next chapter, but I don't care. I might as well just put this off to the side and never care about it again. And we're going to see with the ratings for this show, wherever it places, we're going to find out if a lot of people by the end of this episode are feeling the same. We're like, I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to put this off to the side. I've got time to spend now on things that are way more fulfilling, better stories, hobbies, spending time with family and friends. Yay, way more positive than spending my time with a story with unlikable characters that completely contradicts itself time and time again. And this is to say nothing of how they have ruined Star Wars canon repeatedly again and again and again.
Prequel trilogy who says the Sith haven't returned for millennia is the same guy corroborating with Jedi and not tell Master Yoda and the same Jedi Council that he apparently gets promoted to or is on that the Jedi are fighting Sith now? What are people gonna say to defend this? Bro, why is Ki-Adi-Mundi here? He's not supposed to be here. Ki-Adi-Mundi was born 132 years prior to the Acolyte so that it will fit in with his... Whoa, wait. Wikipedia just changed their shit right now in real time?
So coming back to the idea of a chapter's structure, a beginning, a middle, and an end, that it all must make sense, that it helps to convey character progression and plot progression, what then has happened here in this episode? We have a turnaround for the villain that makes no sense. It was not properly set up nor executed. Therefore, it does not count as good character development. So character development has fallen flat because everything that the Jedi is doing, and with Osha, doesn't really matter. It's a bunch of contradictory nonsense that literally went nowhere other than them physically traveling from point A to point B. Okay, yay, congratulations, you've traveled to the planet where the Wookiee is at. However, this is actually pointless travel because we didn't get good character development during that time. We didn't get any interesting world building either. As a result, we've just spent a lot of time watching people travel. And it didn't really look all that good either, in my personal opinion. I can go watch The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and get way better walking sequences, and then want to go to New Zealand and enjoy all of that beautiful nature out there, or just go out to my backyard and enjoy the beautiful nature back there. The Acolyte doesn't really have much to serve up even in the visuals. But then it goes even further to basically botch its ending with, oh my gosh, the Jedi Wookiee is dead! Who could have foreseen this? The murder mystery that has been built up to this point has been now completely abandoned and destroyed, which is ultimately to the detriment of the story. The one thing that the story could have had to its name that could have been really good if written well is the murder mystery element. And in a live stream that we're going to be doing, we're actually going to talk about how you can rewrite what people call to be the worst episode of Disney Star Wars, episode 3 of The Acolyte, how it can be rewritten and actually made into a really good story. However, in light of episode 4, any kind of good mystery that you set up in episode 3 has now just been tossed out the window. It doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that now that people need to think about is, oh, what is the identity of Smilo Ren? And quite honestly, I don't care. It could very well even be a character that we haven't even seen on screen yet. Even though people say, no, it must be someone who's been on screen. Look, that is according to the conventional rules of writing. And based on everything that we've seen from the show so far, they don't understand the rules, and if they think that they're being smart by breaking the rules, they don't know the rules well enough to break them properly and do something cool. It's very likely that Smilo Ren is someone that we haven't yet seen, and that they're just a complete wimp and just utter garbage in the face of Mai and Osho when they join forces and become Captain Planet! The power of two, the power of many, ha ha ha! So with the murder mystery just completely thrown out the window, the ending has to rely on its cliffhanger. But because most people don't care about these characters or the plot, the cliffhanger looks silly, and it becomes a moment where the rug is pulled out from under us, where Lucy pulls the football away from Charlie Brown, and you're left spinning in the air to come crashing on down because you were expecting to get a great lightsaber duel, and we now realize that's not going to happen. Let me tell you this, if you actually want to see great lightsaber usage that puts Disney Star Wars to shame, and I know some people are going to say, well, that's not really hard to do, but I'm saying, seriously, puts them to shame, I want you to go watch Atunche's newest video. I'll even put a little link for it right here, where you get to see on a cheap budget a handful of guys doing a lightsaber duel between an immortal Puritan warrior for God and a Nazi warlock. Yes, that's actually happening right there on your screen right now, and it is amazing. Not only amazing in that we actually get to see some decent lightsaber usage, but also they actually put real effort into developing these characters, make them work, and make a good plot that brings an immortal Puritan and a Nazi warlock together to fight in a lightsaber duel just outside of Gettysburg.
You are too late, Witchfinder. The armies of darkness shall be triumphant, and you, my friend, will die. Have faith, Padawan. Have faith.
So the chapter structure of this episode is absolutely worthless. Again, you need a proper beginning, middle, and end that tells a concise, independent story there within the chapter. Your rule of thumb should be that if someone were to watch this episode or to read this chapter and know nothing else of their story, that they could understand the characters and understand a little bit of what's going on, and then even say, wow, you know what? I actually want to know the rest. Let me read the rest of the book, or let me go back and watch the other episodes so I can understand what's going on. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. That was my introduction to Gravity Falls, actually. I watched episode 4 of season 2. I had no idea who these characters were, what was going on, but the story was so dang good that it won me over and I wanted to watch the rest. That is what you want to do. You didn't get any of that here with the Acolyte. And again, to say nothing of all the contradictions, the fact that the character arcs don't make any sense, you need to set up and execute a proper redemption for your villain if redeeming them is what you want to do. The dialogue is absolutely atrocious. If you need to, please take the time to actually say your dialogue out loud, and if it sounds ridiculous to you, if it sounds like this is something that people normally wouldn't even say in a fantasy setting, you please rewrite it, please change it up. And the canon. Yes, if I were to remove this from the Star Wars canon, consider its own story, because this is just completely trash Star Wars canon, it is still a dumb story because of all the contradictions within itself. It does not make any sense. But the moment that you try to put something within a greater saga, epic, or a series or a franchise, you need to adhere to the canon, because if you don't do that, you are going to crush yourself against the weight of what everyone else has previously known, and it's just going to seem like you have no clue what you're doing, and people are going to laugh at you for it. So, there you have it. An absolutely awfully written episode of The Acolyte. Wow, I could probably rant for another hour about all of just the little things that really don't make any sense, but as far as we authors go, the most important thing is to understand chapter structure, understand that you need to be creating little small stories within each chapter episode that helps to bring the entire story along, make it make sense, make it gripping and engaging for your audience. And that's difficult. It's going to take a lot of work, and it requires more than just a first draft effort. Make sure that you're not contradicting yourself time and time again. If you're going to put together a proper villain redemption arc, please put in the effort. You can't just make a villainous or a monstrous character become better in one scene. Even if you're like, well, I did lay down some of the foundational work. No, you need to let the audience know that this character could have a redemption arc or is on a redemption arc. We didn't get any of that with Mai, therefore it came out of the blue. It was unsatisfactory, it was not pleasing, and it made no sense. Gah! Alright, I'm going to move on before I give myself a heart attack. If you're looking for other rants, reviews, analyses, writing advice, and the likes, then please feel free to check out our other videos here on our channel. And if you'd like to support what we do here, then please check out the books that we have published. Links for them are in the description below. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible, sometimes frustrating adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, choose.